In this video, we are going to take a look at the assembly environment in Autodesk Inventor. We'll take a look at how to create an assembly, how to place components, and also how to modify components as well. Let's start by creating a new assembly. Here on the Home tab, I can select the assembly here if I know what my default template is, but just to be safe, I'm going to go to New instead. Then I can choose the specific template that I want. So I'm going to choose metric, and as you can see, there's several different metric standards here. The assembly file has a .iam extension for Inventor Assembly, so I will choose the standard millimeter .iam and then click Create. So I get a blank screen, much like I do with a part. If I look at my ribbon, I have a different tab now. I have Assemble. And then my model tree will now show me my overall assembly and each component underneath it. So I'll begin by placing my first component. I'll click the drop down here under Place and just choose the Place tool. Then I will bring in the first component. Typically the first thing that you bring in is going to be some sort of base that you're going to ground in space and then assemble everything else to it. So I will choose the base here, then click Open. As you can see, I can move this around and I can place it anywhere, but what's typically best on the first part is to right click on screen and choose Place Grounded at Origin. I can place more copies if I want, but I'll just escape to cancel. So placing it grounded at the origin, what that's going to do is it's going to take each of the origin planes in the part file, such as the XY plane, and mate it with the same plane in the assembly, such as the XY plane. So if I expand the origin folder for the assembly, I can see the XY plane here. If I expand the part, I can see its XY plane coincides. And then once more, you can see in the model tree, I have my overall assembly and then a loaded in part. I can see the little push pin, which indicates that it's grounded. I can also right click and decide to turn the grounded on or off if I want here. I'm going to go ahead and place another component. This time I'll bring in the cap. And then once more, I'll just click in space somewhere to place it. And then escape. I can continue placing more components. And if I have more than one, I can just click to place extra copies. If you need another copy of something you've already placed, you can actually just drag and drop it from your model browser. So to get another bolt, I'll just drag and drop one of these copies of the bolts out into my screen. And then of course, if I want to delete one, I can select it either in the model browser or in the drawing window and delete it by pressing delete on the keyboard. Another way that we can place content is from the Autodesk Inventor Content Center. The Content Center has lots of content loaded in for standard purchase parts like screws, bolts, nuts, washers, and other similar items. To get here, I'm going to click the drop down under Place and choose Place from Content Center. Then I can choose the category of object that I want. So let's say I'm looking for a nut for this bolt that I just placed. I'll find a hex nut here. And then I can choose the specific type of nut that I want. I'll go ahead and just select the first one here. And I do happen to know that the one out there has a diameter of 12 millimeters. So I want to make sure down here in the table that 12 is one of my options, and it is. So I'll just go ahead and click OK. Then I will click out in space. A table will pop up that will allow me to choose the size that I want. So I will go with the 12 diameter here. Then click OK, and now you can see that I can place multiple copies of this component as well. Now eventually we want to constrain all of these parts together, but that's something that we'll look at in a future lesson. Let's take a look at how to work with the individual parts. So right now I'm in the overall assembly. I can see assembly 2 up top here. If I want to modify any of the components, I can do one of two things. The first thing I can do is right click on them and choose Open. That will open it in another window and allow me to make any changes here. So let's say that I wanted to change a hole size. I'll take this hole here, and instead of 18, I'm going to set that down to 9. So there you can see the change. I'm going to save this part and then close it. Then when I come back into my assembly, hopefully it automatically updated. If it didn't, Then up top in my quick access toolbar, here's my update button right here. I'm going to go ahead and click it to update. Even though it looked like it was updated, typically anytime you see the lightning bolt up there, you want to go ahead and click on it to make sure you've got the most recent information. Now another way that you can edit a part is in place. So this time, instead of right-clicking and opening it, I'm going to double-click on the base. That has now put me into this part, but inside the assembly environment, so I can still see all the other parts out there in space. But I am editing the part. You can see all the different features in here once again. So if I wanted to go back in and edit this sketch and maybe return it to its original size, then I can finish. And then to get back to the overall assembly, I can do one of two things. I can either come up top and hit the return button, and that will take me back to the upper assembly, or, let me double click on this base again, you can double click on the assembly name over here in the model tree as well. Either way will take you back to that upper level assembly. Now you may have noticed that when I made the change to this hole this last time, I didn't click save while I was inside there. So when I go to click save now, and save this assembly, you can see that the dialog box is going to tell me that it actually needs to save this assembly, but it also needs to save this base part. So it's going to go ahead and save them both for me when I click OK. In the next video, we'll take a look at how we can use constraints to start putting some of these parts together. That concludes this introduction to the assembly environment in Autodesk Inventor.